everyone. As you can see, we are doing things a little bit differently at Red, White and Black Chat. There is a premiership flag coming our way, and we want to document the journey on camera for you all to see. It may be October 2025 right now, but mark my words, things will be different come September 2026. So if you're currently listening to this, open your laptop, turn on your TV, and let's chat Saints footy.
So, what has been happening since our last episode? Lions won the flag, Jeremy Cameron won the Coleman, Matt Rowell won the Brownlow, Will Ashcroft won the Norm Smith, Crom went out in straight sets as the minor premiers, Orcs. Geelong had a mad Monday and have also been fined from admin issues. Everyone wants to leave Carlton, and Captain Zach Merritt wants to jump off the Bombers' sinking ship. But what about us? Welcome. Thank you, Soz. Thank you, Tilly, for joining our first video podcast. We're doing things a little bit backwards at Red, White and Black Chat, but apparently so are the Saints. And that's okay. So, Tilly, any highlights for you since we last met up?
Well, there's the AA, so All Australian. Naz, there are a number of teams who didn't, have anybody get nominated. Looking at you, Carlton, Essendon. So I thought that was all right.
Oh, for sure. And it just goes to show that we do have an A grader in NAS as well. So obviously very well deserved. Soz, did you think that anybody missed out on the AA from the Saints that probably should have made it this year?
Yeah, half the team. Nah, but I am wearing his shirt. If you're watching, you should be watching. I am wearing the man's shirt. Callum Wilkie was robbed. Future captain. He is an AA player every single season. It's, it is what it is. Things are going to be different next year. We are looking forward to the future. What was interesting, Josh Battle got the AA jumper. And I know how we all feel about him, but it does kind of prove there was a lot of discussion at the end of last year that he shouldn't have been a first round pick, but it kind of proves that he was that good. So, good for you, Josh Battle.
Yeah, it's a really good point. Yeah, it is a really good point. I just tend to look at him with I don't know, not hatred. I don't want to say hatred because that's a very strong word, but justice for Wilkie. I also think that Higgins missing out. I'm not saying that he should have been in the 22. But I do think he was probably a little bit stiff not to get into the extended squad. Given that he's probably, I don't know, maybe the second best small forward in the league. Speaking of, did you hear the most recent 7-year deal? Don't worry, we're here to talk about Saints because otherwise I'll digress about everything that's been happening.
I want to know. I want to know, who was it?
Oh, Melbourne.
Who?
Cozzy. 7 years. 7 or 8 years. I read it before.
Okay.
That's
Yeah, crazy. Very, very.
Well, he's got 7 years to deal with Marcus Windhager then.
Well, that's a good call.
That is true. That is very true. But I do think that maybe Higo was a little bit stiff to not be in the top 40. But there was another way that Saints were kind of kicked up the arse as well since we last met.
Yes, the Brownlow. What a farce! And 2 votes, Nasiah, Wanganeen, Malira. 2 votes in what we call the greatest comeback ever. 2 months. Seriously, that meme, I'm so using that meme everywhere. 2 votes. 3 votes, Jack Varney, who lost them the game. Interesting.
Yeah. I can get fired up about this. I think I've spent a lot of time doing it, and now it's building up again. Trying to breathe. Okay. That was not a 2-point performance. Not only was that the best individual performance of any player on the field, it was the best individual performance of any player of the round. It was the best individual performance of the season. It was the best individual performance probably of AFL. 2 points. We won. He was the player that won us the game. And did something smash? He was a player that won us the game. And what did Viney do? They had the lead in the first 3 quarters because they were working as a team. Let's be fair, we didn't play as a team. And it was one man that brought us to the win. I have no idea what the umpires were thinking, but
yeah.
Sorry.
There is a lot of conversation around getting the votes, like changing it from the umpires to either like the fans association, which I don't hate, but also obviously that there becomes like a whole lot of bias and stuff as well. But I really like the idea of the coaches. And, even if it comes to, I don't know, obviously there would have to be like a whole set of like rules and regulations around it if the coaches were to do it to eliminate some of that bias. But I do think that having the coaches is a good shout because, for instance, like, yeah, for example, when Chris Scott said, oh, he'll be having, was it Chris Scott? No. Mitchell said that he'll be having nightmares about Nasai Wanganeen Malira because they just like could not shut him down. So, like even opposition coaches will be able to see, the impact that, whoever has the greatest impact on the field because that's their job on the day, right? So I do think that it might be it should be taken away from the umpires, and yeah, I would leave it to the coaches if I had it my way.
Yeah, that is interesting because obviously coaches like to pick their own players and their favorites of their own players. So you do need like a bit of some sort of rule around that. But
Yeah.
it couldn't be the umpires. The umpires need to focus on the game and officiating the game and not who's playing well, because that's not their job to judge who's playing well.
Yeah. Like I know that they cast votes like at the end of the first, second and third, but also in saying that Nas had something like 32 disposals by 3/4 time. So even that doesn't justify Viney getting 3 votes because it's not like Nas all of a sudden turned it in within the fourth quarter. He turned it on within the second half. So, he was more than worthy to get 3 votes. But where were you watching the Brownlow, Tilly, and what was your reaction?
I was at home where I am. I think I may have thrown my phone across the room because I was like, what? And then, of course, obviously, socials blew up.
Yeah.
But yeah.
What about you, Soz?
Yeah, I was watching in my bed. And I believe when it came to that point, I was already pissed off because in the other game against Melbourne earlier in the season at Alice Springs, I thought Windy getting the 3 votes was a sure thing because of the job he did on Pickett and getting so many disposals. And he only got 1 point. And so at that point, I was already pissed off at the system. And yeah, questionable.
Yeah. Yeah. Big time. Big time. I was watching it in a room full of Collingwood supporters, like literally 3 of them in the room and just me. I do have like a kind of annual Brownlow night because I am that type of nuffy. And for a bunch of Collingwood supporters to even say like that's messed up, I felt very validated in my feelings. And then it took me a hot minute to open my phone because, as I'm sure you can both attest to, the notifications were just piling through. And I was like, I don't think I have the emotional capacity to deal with anybody right now. Again, sitting in a room with 3 Collingwood supporters was enough for the mentals. So,
and it's not like
it's
not like it's like a personal attack on us, but it's like you just got to feel for Nas. Like,
yeah, big time.
So embarrassing. Like,
yeah, big time. It does feel like a personal attack though, doesn't it? Because we minus the trade period, which we'll obviously get to, but it just feels like a constant shit show for us, like all the time. So, things like this happen and you're like, oh my God, this is so St Kilda. So I think that's why it just like stabs a little bit.
Yeah.
It hurts a little bit more.
But, things are changing now. We are focused on 2026. 2025 is done. We're looking forward. Things are on the up. What else is on the positives? Girls.
The girls, the AFLW. How impressive. So far, the women have won 4 on the trot, following the men with the greatest fourth quarter comeback in both AFL men's and AFL women's. We're currently 8th, which is awesome. And we're in the top 8 too, which is great. So Sunday, get down to RSEA Park and check out the girls facing the Magpies, who I believe are about 16th at the moment. It's Sunday, 3:05 p.m. start. get down and see them play.
And can I just say,
I'm
the
excited.
girls haven't made finals in their entire history. So like this could be our season. Like this is our year.
Yeah, it is so exciting. Some of them we have been so unlucky with injuries yet again, the girls, but it is really good to kind of see that shift in them. And, Tilly, like you said, that comeback, I was out and then I checked the scores and I was like, oh no, like, and then obviously checked them again and I was very surprised. Shattered I wasn't watching it, but yeah, the girls are doing some wonderful things, and Jessie Wardlaw is just literally incredible. Yeah, best friend Jessie Wardlaw she's just incredible. She continues to surprise me. So I personally am very excited to see her in the flesh on Sunday. Should be good. Fingers and toes crossed we get nice weather and the W as well. So very exciting stuff.
And just the one last thing that I was watching, because I decided to join in on the fun with Dan Does Footy, with their live streaming of the Brisbane Collingwood game. Can't remember, I think that's right. Ross and TDK in the second quarter. Now, I love Ross, although other people may go, hey, I saw your post on Facebook in 2011. I love Ross, but man, that segment, I have so much more appreciation for Ross. He is hilarious. And TDK, oh my God, that was so cute. Obviously, the writing was on the wall, but the whole thing was just cute.
Yeah, it was very wholesome. I loved when Ross just said to him, "Oh, like let's see if he can kick," and they were just having some bants.
I didn't see it, so I have no idea what's going on. I'm just gonna like smile and nod.
They did it like a live stream together, so it was like the two, like TDK and Ross sitting on the couch. It's worth the watch, Soz, and they were just like commentating on the game, and Ross was just lots of jokes for Ross. So the three of us were lucky enough to all attend the Trevor Barker Award this year, which snaps for Nas. I mean, no surprise there. He is a very noteworthy winner. If anyone deserves to absolutely dominate votes with 313, it's him. I don't know, kind of rich, 313, deserved three votes, Melbourne. I don't know. Bit of a stretch there. But yeah, what a fantastic night it was. It's always so nice to just be surrounded by like-minded Saints supporters who are just as passionate as we are, and also a chance to have a chat to some of the players and, let them, I don't know, kind of share their passion as well and kind of get to know them on a human level. I feel like is a really nice and kind of humbling experience. Yeah, that's my personal favorite like highlight, I guess, of the Trevor Barker Award. Just to be able to, kind of human to human have a chat and just get super excited for what is going to be 2026. But what was your highlight, Soz?
Obviously, I love dressing up. And we did our hair and makeup together, Kat. That was very fun. I just love being in a room with people who love St Kilda as much as me. Obviously, the games are different, just like in a nice space where it's fancy and everyone's dressed up nice and you're just like somewhere where it's just love of something I love. I was also sitting next to Georgia Love. Lots of love.
So much love.
So much love. Should I go into... I'm just going to say it. Ryan Burns is the sweetest soul I have ever met in my entire life. Like a lot of players, you would talk to them and it's just, I don't know, like nothing there. He was just so invested in the conversation. Like, and he was just like, I really appreciate you coming up, because I was just like, Ronnie, I've always got your back. Ignore all the haters. If anyone's going to hate you, I'm going to get them. And he's like, I really appreciate that. Like, that's a really sweet guy. Oh, he needs
really
to sign. He's currently not signed, and it's going to break my heart if we don't play him, because I really got the feeling that he is just a good person that does try, and like I just got really good vibes from him. So yeah, that was a highlight for mine. Silly. Change the scene from my love of Ryan Burns. I'm blushing.
It's not a bad thing. So obviously the top three, no surprise. I thought that Maxwell getting fourth was really good. I love the dessert. Sorry. Oh my God, I would have like taken the guy beside me dessert, but that's probably really inappropriate. I had a chat with Dougal who I was with the extended red, white, and black crew who decided they wanted a photo, which was cool. I tried not to be in the photo. However, he decided that I'm part of the crew and that I need to be in the photo too. So I was pulled into the photo. So I just thought that was really sweet. And the little fangirl in me to this day can talk to any other footballer, but I cannot talk to Nick Del Santo. I just can't. I'm just sitting there going, oh my God. And I'm still in love with Robert Harvey. So yeah, that was my night. The realization that I'm still 12 years old in my little head, or 18. So but other than that, cool. It was a good night.
Yeah, it was. And can attest to Dougal, always down to have a chat. There's a reason why he's my favorite. He's just, yeah, he is great. And I might have had a stern word with him and said, I will not take any more injuries from you, Dougal. It's simply not good enough. And I expect to see you play every single game next year. And he did find that quite funny.
He recognized, he really does know Kat. So at a point, it was like Dougal and Jimmy, and I was like, Jimmy Webster. And then Dougal, I was like, oh, hey. And then he walked over to Kat, and I'm like, oh, guess I have to talk to Jimmy Webster now.
He is the best. There's a reason why I say besties, because it's a thing. It's always honestly so good to have a chat with him, have a chat to all of them. It's honestly such a good night. I do have to say, though, I'm pretty disappointed that we didn't see Steely on the top 10 leaderboard. I thought that he was definitely worthy. Surprised to see McRae at 10th, but also not really. I don't know. I guess he's been really consistent all year, but we will talk a lot more about Steely in this episode. It's one of the big reasons why we kind of called, I don't know, I guess an emergency pod, because we really wanted to discuss what we see with Steely coming into 2026. But yeah, I just thought it was a little bit stiff not to see him in the top 10, because I just think he deserves a lot more than what the club's giving to him at the minute. So yeah, that was kind of sad. But on a more positive note as well, best emerging player Max Hall, absolutely fantastic. What an incredible year he's had. We are big fans of Max here at Red, White and Black Chat. I want to say that we called it and we started the bandwagon pretty early on, but just saying, just putting it out there. Lenny Hayes Team Trademark Award to Cheeto was awesome. Best clubman, no surprises, that went to Hill. Very sure that Mason Wood got it last year. Correct me if I'm wrong, despite my confidence. Yeah. So both very worthy. You can just tell that they bleed red, white, and black. And obviously the Saner of the Year to Nas. So all very worthy. And again, it just gets you like really excited about what's to come, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm. I'm very excited.
Waving the flag.
Let's get into it. Let's just dive into it. Let's talk trade and everything that St Kilda has put out to the universe. I swear the last 4 weeks have been so hectic. I've rejoined Twitter for the purpose of trying to be like first to the news, because that's where everything is. And I'm just so invested. And I think I finally understand the trade period and what it entails in the sense of like draft picks and future rounds and all this stuff. And I mean it when I say I fully had to do research. It's confusing. It is not easy stuff to wrap my head around. It also probably doesn't help that I'm not that good with numbers, but I don't know. I think it's really confusing.
It is. Especially when it's
I'm not the only one.
Unrestricted, restricted.
Yeah.
Yeah. Signed, unsigned.
Yeah.
You're like, oh God.
Yeah. Yeah. So obviously, unless you've been living under a rock, I'm sure you know the info that we have picked up. TDK, no secrets there. So 1.7 mil a season for 8 years, with Carlton receiving pick 9 as compensation because TDK was a restricted free agent. Look, obviously 1.7 is a lot of money. And Look, I'm not going to say he's worth it or he's not worth it. Time will tell. From what I've seen, I'm going to take a stab in the dark and say probably not. But he is young and he's incredibly athletic. And, with the new ruck rules that are coming in as well, I do think he'll be really, really good for us.
I think he was the big fish that is going to bring into bringing in the little fish. We needed the big one, and ever since the TDK, all season we're talking about him, whether he was going to come or not, and we landed the fish, and now it kind of seems like everyone wants to come to us. So he brought a bit of belief into the club. I say that it was obviously Nas that did it, but TDK moving from Carlton has obviously made a big shift in the popularity of the club.
100%. And Flanders actually said it on, we'll get to Flanders, but he actually said it on Trade Radio earlier today that a big reason why he nominated St Kilda was because of Nas's decision to stay. It just goes to show, and we said this when it happened, that signing is huge. Look at what we've been able to do in this trade period because of that signing. Yes, it's a lot of money and he'd kind of be silly to not take it up, whatever. But, he could have gone to a side like Adelaide, who, obviously had a better season than us, despite them going out in great sense. Yeah, despite that. But, he chose to give St Kilda a chance because he can see something really exciting being built. So I just think that is huge. And the domino effect is.
Yeah. I think I wrote it down in the Andrew Bassett's speech during the Trevor Barker. He said that their main priority of the season was to retain all the youth, and they would do anything to keep the young guys. So Windy, Nas, Cheeto and stuff, and Mateus. So it's interesting that that's how it's gone. We must have put everything on the line for Nas, and now here we are. We're not focusing on the draft anymore. We're just picking out guys, which is very exciting. It kind of seems like the rebuild is over.
Yeah, it was. In my opinion, the Nas signing is the defining moment of this era of St Kilda. As you said, Nas was the domino effect. So Nas re-signing meant that there was the awkwardness in my house and my family at the moment. TDK, and then following TDK, which you'll talk about, is JSOS. So it's been, I think that is the defining moment of this generation of St Kilda, was the re-signing of Nas.
Yeah, absolutely. Tilly, you mentioned Soz, so obviously another Carlton signing. And we gave up pick 19 for Soz as well. So many conversations just around his body and him not being worth a pick 19. But you know what? Ultimately, at the end of the day, I feel like that narrative is probably being created by Carlton supporters who now have probably the most deep hatred for our club for taking half of their bloody list. So, look, if Soz can keep his body right, I'll happily have him.
So this is a very awkward time in my life. My partner, who is outside now, is angry. My best mate is angry, and my family's not talking to me because I currently have Soz as my background on my work laptop. And my painted TDK in red, white, and black is currently on my desk because they're all Carlton supporters. So yeah. I'm just going to sit here and go, I'm really excited. On a serious note, though, now I could be wrong, but I do believe that, I call him JSOS because he's, son of Serge, son of Stephen. He did occasionally do ruck for Carlton, and I don't think it's a bad idea that we have a ruck in each section of the ground with the new rules that have come in. I don't think that's such a bad thing, that there's a few people that can take the ruck depending on what happens with the rest of the trade period and signings or re-signings or delistings, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, I absolutely agree, especially because, in our forward line, sometimes you'd see Sharman having a go, having a go, and obviously with the inclusion of Maxi King also has a go. So that gives us literally 3 rotating ruck options in the forward. That's a really good point, Tilly, because Roma, we'll get to Roma, was obviously left doing all of the ruck tap and down back. So, yeah, that total transparency here, I don't know too much about Sauce. The only reason why I've been watching Carlton this year as close as I have been was simply because of TDK. Otherwise, I quite frankly don't really care for him. And plus they're a bit of a rabble at the moment, so they're not that interesting to watch.
Well, it's interesting to watch their downfall. That I'm enjoying.
That's true. That's true. That is very true. So big news also that we heard today, Flanders, sexy stupid Flanders. So we got him for pick 7. So also another player that a lot of people have been saying overs for. So it's rumored that we're paying him $900K across 5 years. He suffered from bulging discs all year this year, but I did a little bit of reading, and in 2024, apparently he was played all over the ground. So attacking half-back flank, a high half forward, a centre bounce mid as well. Obviously, clubs acknowledge that it's like a weaker draft this year, right? So pick 7, I'm not that mad about it. Flanders is also ranked elite in disposals and handballs. So honestly, pick 7 in a shitty draft, it doesn't bother me.
I like having the depth, yeah. I think we have always struggled in the midfield. Why not? Like, we're not going to... It's at this point, we are never drafting a midfielder. Why not just take one that's already built?
Agreed.
Yeah.
So I was having a conversation with a colleague, Steve, about this today. There's no longer players that play one position, which is a bit why. So Oliver is being moved on from Melbourne, and it'll come up with Steele as well, is you can't just play one position in one area of the ground anymore. You need to be versatile to be able to move, shift and around just with the way and fast pace the game is at. So I'm quite happy with Flanders, who can play anywhere. And the second thing that was interested to me is we've paid overs because it's going to be a kindness thing to the Gold Coast, hoping it will be reciprocated for a certain other king that happens to be on the Gold Coast in the future. Which it actually, when it was mentioned to me, I was like, actually, that wouldn't surprise me.
Where did you hear that?
That was just a conversation in the hallway at work.
Oh, right. I thought
but
maybe
then they were
merit to it. I was like,
I wouldn't surprise me, but I kind of thought about it, and it makes sense because a lot of the trade period is about other deals that are done in the future and behind closed doors that we as fans or the public don't actually know about until it's ready. For instance, I didn't realize that I think listening to some podcast that one player, Grundy, was being paid by not only Collingwood but also Melbourne, and then getting his wage at Sydney. But we don't know what those deals were when he got to Sydney. So It's interesting.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. So I guess that's a watch this space in the future to see what happens.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Melbourne are willing to pay half of Clary's salary as well. So I'm pretty sure he signed with GWS. I think right before we started recording, I'm pretty sure I saw it. Oh, he's nominated. Sorry, GWS. So yeah, like GWS are literally getting him for nothing. Honestly, the more I learn about the trades, the more it reminds me of like it's genuine gambling. It's like trading cards. It's like genuine gambling. There could be there could be merit behind that, Tilly. I mean, if we've got the 2 King brothers, one forward, I was going to say one forward down back, but yeah, anyway, they're both kicking snags, but maybe we can train one of them to be the next key defender. Who knows?
Hear me out real quick. There is a rumor about another twin, and we're talking the Sammy DK. So imagine if we had 2 Kings and 2 DeConings.
You know what? I was going to say, in the 90s, we did have the Wakeland brothers. So I'm okay with having brothers. Doesn't bother me at all.
I think what's interesting about the Sam DeConing, there was never any chance that he would ever leave Geelong. But now that we kind of have this, I'm sure we're going to get to it, we're going to have some leverage with Rowan Marshall wanting to go to Geelong. It doesn't seem like it's impossible. Although we did get Jack Silvani, who was a defender, we could go for more tools in our defence line, let's be honest. We've always had like a short defensive line, and having another tall back there would be helpful. but who knows? I don't know. I don't know if we've run out of money.
Premierships are not made on forwards. They're made on a very tall, structured defence. You've got to stop the ball from being kicked into goals. And I love Wilkie, but he can't do it on his own. And this season, seeing Dougal out and, training up to Rue and all that sort of stuff, it kind of proved that we really do need a stronger, taller backline. And we'll obviously go into the future with Wilkie, but I don't think it's fair on Wilkie to have all of that on his shoulders if he is going to be the captain in 2026. That's not fair either. You can't have the whole backline on somebody and also be the captain. It's just you can't do it all.
Yeah. Well, Leek Aleer has obviously also nominated the Saints as well. So that's another like a bit of height and a lot of like build that we'll have in the back line as well, which is very important. He is monstrous. Like, he looks absolutely monstrous. Lots of muscle, which is awesome. Sorry, not necessarily muscle. He's just like, obviously he's like big, right? I don't know. His build to me just looks almost like not comparable to anyone that we have in our back line. So that'll obviously be another really good get. So, I mean, we're just waiting for the deal to happen around that and also around Liam Henry as well. However,
Liam Ryan.
Did I say Liam Henry? Whoopsies.
Yes.
Liam Ryan. Whoopsies. So St Kilda do not have a second round pick in this year's draft. We only have 48 and 63. So that means that we'll have to trade our future picks as well. So whether Saints can get a deal for both Ryan and Aleer, it will be interesting. I would rather snag Leek Aleer in comparison to Liam Ryan. Look, I'm not saying that Liam Ryan isn't a good player or anything like that, but I feel like we've got enough depth. We're still waiting for Butler to have a decent preseason to come back. We've got Liam Henry to also have a good preseason and to come back.
Speaking of Liam Henry, like, there is a lot of conversation that he is working really hard. We've all seen the pics on Instagram, just share with him all the time. So hopefully he has a good season next year.
Yeah.
Who knows what's happening with Snags and Butler.
Well, that's it. And that's why I don't think that there is too much of a need for Ryan, because we do have, that is one area, like those small forwards is an area where we actually have depth. So I just personally don't think it's pressing. What do you think, Tilly?
I was just reflecting on, whilst you both were talking, how nice it is for players to nominate St Kilda. Like, this never happens. I think I mentioned it in our group chat that I was like, what? Am I dreaming? Can someone pinch me? Like, we're not used to that. And I think it's a great thing that we're having everybody nominate us. And again, refers back to that signing of Naz and TDK landing those big fish. But also, it's actually a testament to our culture that we do have a number of Indigenous players nominating our club and wanting to come to us because of the great leadership that, you've got Hill and Naz and all of that, they have built that with their own. And I think it's just amazing that is partly the reason that people want to come to us. I do agree. I think we've got too many small forwards at the moment. However, on saying that, we do need to build a VFL side. So I'm happy to take people if they're happy to, run around in the VFL for a little bit, because there is that, which I think that we've all kind of forgotten about, that we still need to be able to field a 22-man VFL side.
I forgot about my best friend Lance Collard. Yeah, he's my bestest friend in the whole wide world. Yeah,
another one.
Yeah, it's another small forward.
Yeah, we're pretty stacked in that. But I mean, look, if we were to get Liam Ryan, can you imagine the regret that he would have, like, leaving? Because he's still contracted at West Coast, right? So he'll only come if we can get a good deal. So I highly doubt that we'll play him in the VFL. If we do play Butts in the VFL, to go from he was in the All-Australian squad in 2020, and then to be in the leadership group in 2025, and then to play VFL in 2026. That is so hectic. Like,
it is, but we have been mid as shit since
I know.
2010. We have not been a good side. Like, to being a good player on not a good team isn't the flex.
Yeah, I know. You're right. Does he just need like a preseason? I don't know. Like, I just don't know. But, we say it almost every single time he plays. He is not working well with Higgins. And there was a period of time where they were. And then that hit the shitter. So I don't know. Butler, I don't know what we do with you at the moment, especially if we get Ryan. You've got to work.
Especially Liam Henry, Lance Collar, that they want to eat. They want to eat up the competition. So, like, I don't know. I don't see how any of it's going to work, but it's very exciting to be a St Kilda fan.
And there's talks about us getting Goey. So imagine if we get Goey.
What?
Throw that in the mix.
I thought that was
I
a
don't
joke.
know how I feel about. I don't know how I feel about that. But anyway,
I thought that was a piss
also
take.
talks about us getting Goey. It is nuts. It is all happening at RSA Park.
We're going to be done for admin issues next.
But that's okay. It was only a $70,000 fine, and then take off 40. So realistically, it was $35,000. Oh, that's okay. Cotton on will pass it on anyway.
Oh, quickly before we go to the break, there's still a few players which haven't been signed. I just want to ask you girls what you think their future is for the next year. So first up, we got Ari. Is he playing with us next season? No. Okay. The Moose.
I feel he's going to Melbourne. Yeah.
Zach Jones.
Captain of the VFL side.
Yeah, that's actually a really good shout. Ross loves him for some reason. So that was horrible. Ross sees a lot in him. So I'm gonna say stay.
Jack Carroll, my boy.
Well, yeah, VFL maybe. Like, give him 2 years.
And then Ronnie Burns. I say that Ronnie is staying. I would give anything. No, not VFL. Don't say VFL. AFL.
I was going to say fringe, in and out, bit of depth. I reckon he's earned that, at least. Sorry.
Just based on his personality, he's worth the world. Boy. Tilly, yes.
Okay. He's average and a fringe player in our team. I don't think with the talent that's come in, he will make our first side. If he isn't traded or delisted, he will play in the VFL next year.
But he really tries. He really tries.
I know, Soz. I know.
You'd hope that they all try.
Well, I don't. It seems like a lot of players didn't try, and I didn't think that about Ryan.
I'm sorry.
Moving on. One last player before we head into the break, who is, like, I don't know, probably the most talked about. No, aside from Steele, the most talked about at the moment. We did briefly touch on him before, but I think Marshall's gone. I know we briefly touched on the potential of, getting Sam de Koning. And somehow that has a relation so the Curnow deal can get done as well. So that is one kind of concept that I personally can't get my head around. But I was watching the agenda setters and muting every time Kane Corn spoke, but I listened to everybody else. And apparently Pickering on there said absolutely not. I feel like that three-way deal won't happen. It's really interesting because when there were initial talks about TDK joining the Saints, and we're talking mid-year this year, Marshall came out and literally publicly announced, I'm excited to work with him, apparently not caring about being a primary ruck. And he's changed his mind, obviously, which is fine, and apparently now wants to be the primary ruck. And I can absolutely see Geelong selling that narrative, considering that Stanley, I reckon, is like on his way out. And I know that Blitzarves is also good, and he was a good backup as like when Reece Stanley was injured a fair bit this year, but they're also both 34. So obviously Roma has, age on his side as a bit of a win, but that is like one area that Geelong kind of need support in. And if they tell him like, hey, we're going to give you X amount of money and you're going to be the sole ruck and have a farm and a cotton on dill, why would you say no?
Agreed. However, he still has 1 year with us, and I have a sneaky feeling that if it's not a straight swap for someone with the likes of SDK or Dempsey, guess what, mate? He's stuck with us until the end of next year, till free agency. And I tell you what, I suspect it's going to be a very awkward season. But I did find that the Instagram images of him with his arms around TDK, the most bizarre thing ever.
That picture. Why was Jamara there? Why was Toby Green there?
No idea.
Liam
was
Henry
just
doesn't have his shirt on.
bizarre.
Just anyways.
But
Yeah.
I think it'd be very awkward because there was something I was watching was saying that, if it doesn't suit us, and I must admit, whoever's doing our recruiting and trading, kudos to you. But if we don't get a win out of it, I can understand them saying, no, you can wait till next year or nominate for the draft. I've got a contract. So
Yeah. I don't know. I cannot see a world where we get Dempsey. The only reason why, and I hope I'm wrong because obviously he's a he's a star, but I don't know if you could. I don't know. Would you equalize them? Would you say that they're worth each other? I think that Dempsey is like worth at least triple more, to be honest. Like
I think
I don't know.
I agree. I think it all has to do with Kerno. I really do have to, because it's it'll have to be a 3-way draft, and a draft with Kerno. That's the only thing I can think of, because if you look up Kerno, he's not following Carlton or anything on Instagram. That's the whole way to tell if there's things wrong in the state of play, is he unfollowed Carlton and only follows the cheer squad. I think it would have to be something like that, because there's no way that Carlton will give up Kerno for something half decent. So there'd have to be some form of something. Geelong has to give up something to get something, and give up a lot.
Yes.
So it'll be interesting to watch how that falls in together if they get what they want.
Yeah.
But Geelong don't need a Kerno. They still have a Jeremy Cameron. I think Marshall is more important for them, unless they care about screwing over Carlton, which is pretty funny.
I don't know. Yeah, I'm not sure. I thought Kerno wanted to go to Sydney.
Yeah, I thought he wanted to go to the Gold Coast. I think he just wants out of.
Yeah, but
he wants out of the big bubble of Carlton. I think that even Collingwood were chasing him, but he wants out of the bubble of those, the big 4 clubs that Carlton is one of them. How, I don't know. He wants out of the bubble, which I kind of get. And that's the appealing bit of 20 minutes up the road from me, that Geelong is, you can have all of those sweeteners and you're out of the bubble because, you're in a small country town. So
back on Marshall though, personally, don't care. I'm just going to be completely honest. All season we said we need leadership, and he was the guy. He was meant to be the leader. He didn't bring the leadership at all this season. I don't care what happens. Stay, go, whatever.
Yeah, I feel like that's valid. I feel like all year we were screaming like Roma needs support. And look, I'm not going to sit here and say he's a bad player, because he's obviously not. And he's obviously one of the best that we have. He did really well. He ended up on the leaderboard, had the Trevor Barker, and very worthy of that. But it was only last year that we were absolutely gobsmacked that he wasn't AA. So he has been on a downward skiing hill. Is that the saying? On a down skiing? What? How do you say that? He's been on a slope. He's going down the slope, is what I'm trying to
Decline. Slow
say.
decline?
Thank you, Soz. Thank you, Soz. So yeah, obviously he's been on a decline. If we're comparing his form last year to this year, and with the absolutely blistering form of Nas, and with the massive inclusion, which is Max Hall, and just the overall growth of the St Kilda team that we've seen from 2024 to 2025, you wouldn't think that we would be sitting here having the dialogue around Marshall that we are. You would hope that, with the team and just how we're just we've got we had so much cohesion, especially towards the tail end of the year, you would think that Marshall would just, go along with them. So look, obviously he's like incredibly serviceable. And again, I'm not saying he's a bad player, but TDK is a lot younger. TDK wants to be at the Saints. That's also a big factor too.
Yeah.
So look, like you said, Tilly, if he is with us and we can't get a deal done with Geelong and whoever else Kerno nominates, what do we do with Marshall? There's no way we're putting him in the VFL because he's not a VFL player. So it will be really shitty if we have a kind of Carlton situation, like half-assing your season because you don't want to be there. I don't know.
I would put him in the VFL. I don't care. Like if you're not in there, if you're not in there 110% playing for our club, Ross did it in the early days in Ross 1.0 where he dropped all of our players and said, do better. The other thing is that like I love Marshall. Yeah, you're good in our team, but how many games did he actually win the ruck contest? And apparently he's the same. He's got the same, or he outdid the North Melbourne ruck. I'm like, the North Melbourne ruck was like his first season, and he was injured for half of it.
Sherry.
So yeah, like they put him on the same par as him, and I'm like, he didn't even play all season. Like you're great.
Sherry was in talks. Sherry was in talks to be the AA, like behind Gawn.
But he didn't play the whole season, and everyone's like, blah, blah, blah. I was like, well, if you may not get what you want, you still need to turn up and play and do your job. We have watched certain players like Naz, like Hall, Boxall, and even to a degree, Cooper Sharman and even Caminiti. They have all started to thrive under Ross. Marshall hasn't. And the reality is Ross is the coach. Ross will be the coach. Ross is in charge of everything at the moment. If you piss off the coach, you're not going to get a game. And the thing is that they've all thrived. Could you imagine how good it's going to be watching TDK hit the ball down to Naz and Naz blaring through the midfield and kicking it, say, straight to King? Like, how amazing is that going to be? Like, I think that we're all just going to be gobsmacked and on cloud nine. I can't see Marshall doing that.
Yeah. Fair. Yeah. Yeah, it's a fair point.
But
I
then
know.
if he's playing VFL, he's going to lose his value. I feel like at this point in time, he's probably at his highest
Also
value.
true.
Even if they lowball, I don't care if they lowball us. Offer us a bag of chips, take.
It might get to that point. It might get to that point where
But that's where
if we want to go so bad, then we just take a deal.
or like I said, he can go play in the VFL. It doesn't matter to us because he just leave with free agency. He can just go.
Yeah.
And apparently the free agency is not just determined on what, but also how much they're willing to play the player and if we don't want to meet it. So, if Geelong are desperate at the end of next year, so be it. They will pay overs if they're that desperate and they don't have a ruck.
Yeah, I will be very, very surprised if he does end up in the VFL. Very surprised. But, I mean, I guess we'll wait and see. I could be
I
wrong.
think he just needs a reality check and an attitude change, in my opinion. Nothing else on the matter. Sure, you're a lovely
Before we head to a break, I wanted to, in the spirit of red wine and black chat, kind of finish off this little segment on a positive note. But how incredible does this midfield sound? Strap yourselves in, ladies and gents. So we've got Sam Flanders, Boxall, Garcia, Nasiah Wanganeen-Malera, Jack McRae, Mateus Filippo. Did I say Max Hall? Max Hall. Maybe Darcy Wilson. I hope he doesn't leave, but I haven't heard anything. So we might still have Darcy Wilson.
He said he hates North Melbourne.
Maybe Darcy Wilson. Sometimes Jack Sinclair. Sometimes Hunter Clark. And sometimes Jack Steele.
Oh my God.
Hunter Clark isn't a fringe player and you've just put him on the fringe.
No, excuse me. I have put him on the bench.
But here,
I will not. Do not push me in a corner about it.
You have put Hunter Clark on the fringe with Sinclair and Steele.
No. Sinks is going to do that halfback flank rotating, and Steele's going to rest up forward sometimes. Okay, because I'm in the coach's box doing the little.
But how positive does that sound?
Right?
I am genuinely excited, and to mention those names, but also I know we've all just giggled about the bench and fringe players, but it's also we're at the point where we have brought up these really young players, and our established players have done their job, which is that they have they have taught and led the younger crew to get to where they are. So now, you know what? They can take a seat back if they want to, because that's where we are.
True.
They have built where we are now, which is we have people wanting to come to us, and that is just epic.
That. Amazing way to take us to a break, Tilly. So thank you for that. On the flip side, we will see you all for some red, white, and blackmail. Thank you to everyone for sending in those questions. We'll get to it. And then we are going to talk all things wet steely. We'll see you guys on the flip side.
Welcome back, everyone. It's time for some red, white, and blackmail. We're all refreshed after our little break, so full of energy going into this. So the first question is, Kat, you're going to hate this. Has Dougal Howard played his last game?
My partner sent that in and he was simply being a smart ass. So short answer is no, and long answer, we will talk about this at home.
You are at home.
He's not home. We'll talk about it when he gets home.
Dougal signed a contract, so obviously everyone believes that he's playing more games.
No, I don't think he's played his last game, but I do think that clearly with the signings that we've had for this season, I do think there's a transition period, Kat, as you're shaking your head. I do think there'll be a transition period over the next couple of years / maybe this season. I love you, Kat. I'm only two rows away from you. I'll hug you if you need to. But I think
will
it's
not be
transition.
having any Google slander on this podcast, Tilly.
It's not slander. It's just
No, I won't be having it.
He is going to be the leader that we need. For Dougal, we stand. Next question. How do you compare the trade haul in 2019 to 2025? Obviously, we're not over with the trade. We've only just begun.
Yes. I have actually done a little bit of research on this, so I may steal the floor for a hot minute.
Yep, go for it.
In 2019, I think it was very much a case of let's just see who we can get, right? We've got a little bit of money. I wouldn't say that we were a destination club back then, but we obviously signed some really important players. So just to refresh everybody's memory, in 2019, we got Butler, Jones, Dukes, Paddy, and Brad Hill. So obviously massive, with Butler, still being serviceable, Dougal still being serviceable, and Hill being in our starting 22. Okay. So obviously huge. We all know that Ryder was absolutely massive for Marshall. The following year, we finished 6th. Our one and only final appearances in recent times.
The one we won.
2 and only. And then also Butler, like I said before, made the AA extended squad in 2020 as well. Steele made the All-Australian and he came equal 3rd in the Brownlow. And Hunter Clark, King, and Caulfield made 22 under 22. So my point to all of these little fun facts, I guess, was the importance of the 2019 trade, I think, definitely highlighted the importance of bringing established players into the side, okay? Because at one point or another, all of those 5 names were all absolutely fantastic for our club. So I think that we've definitely taken that into the 2025 trade. I also think what it did is it highlighted the importance of developing our youth as well. Like I said, we had Hunter Clark, we had King, and we had Caulfield, who all made the 22 under 22 squad. Huge. Having 3 names is massive, right? I think the main difference this year in comparison to 2019 is that it's a lot more tactical this year. So obviously we haven't been spending our whole salary cap for this moment to be so aggressive. I also think that we owe NAS to perform. I strongly think that. And I think we're coming to a point in our club's history, and you can go kind of on a deeper level and say like, oh, our crowd numbers are declining and things like that. And, membership tallies, maybe they could foresee them declining a little bit too. I should have said that's prior to the NAS signing. So I do think that it was always our plan to be aggressive in 2025 with the way that our club was headed. So yeah, I think the big difference between 2019 to 2025 was just, it comes down to a point of tacticalness, but I do think that our fans should really hold on to the hope that 2019 showed us, given that we did make finals in 2020. And that we had an equal third Brownlow winner in Steele.
And NAS could easily go high in the Brownlow next year.
Exactly.
Got a name.
Exactly.
And I think we also need to remember that we didn't actually get to see any of those players play in the flesh in 2020. Unfortunately, we were stuck in our four walls. And whilst I loved winning the final, I was also devastated at the same time that we couldn't be there to enjoy it. I think that the 2025 is a key moment, because we can actually turn up next year and see our players play and see these recruits play, see how they are with our own eyes, regardless if we're on level 1, level 2, level 3, and actually see them play. And also 2020 had the shortened quarters, the shortened season, due to the unforeseen circumstances. I think it'll be good to see how this one goes with a full game and a full season.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think you guys have nailed nailed it on the head. Looking at those names, Butler, Dougal, Hill, Jones, they're all still in the team. So easy. I think we did well then. I think we're only going to do better. So,
well, yeah, that's it.
Yeah. All right. Next question. When will we sign more Jacks? Our Jack stores are depleting.
Oh, I hope we don't lose one. We'll get to that.
Jack Carroll, you mean?
No. Steely. No.
We could potentially lose. But Jack Silvani is a Jack.
True.
We got one.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So if anything, we've got more Jack. We're jacked up.
Yeah.
Next question. Who will have the biggest impact? I think that will be regarding our people that were brought in so far. I'm hoping Sam Flanders, to be honest. I hear he's a ball hog, but we do have a few of those on the team, and maybe we can learn to ball hog in a positive way.
I'm getting that tattooed on me. Ball hog in a positive way.
If everyone's fighting for the ball, maybe we can do something.
How good would it be, though, to have Naz to Boxall to Hall to Flanders? Like, how good is that going to be? Just how good?
I was thinking it's going to be Nas to Flanders to Nas to Flanders to Nas to Flanders to goal.
Dude, we're not Carlton. We have a better gameplay than that. We don't just kick it to Cripper. Like, dude, we have other players that are actually quite good. So,
my vote would be TDK. To be honest, I hope that I cross my fingers and I cross my toes, given the money that he's on, if we can see his full potential week in, week out, and hopefully not put too much pressure on him as a fan base as well to perform. I think that that's really important. But I hope once he finds his groove with us, I think he can be really effective, because, like I said before, Rowan Marshall is not a shit player by any means, but he's also not athletic, whereas TDK is, and he's actually got some, he's got some run in him. So I think that will be a vast difference in the way that we play our game. I honestly think the inclusion of two really important tools, being TDK and being Max King, we are going to look and Leek Aleer, we are going to be very different next year. We will look very different. So because of that, I say TDK.
Yeah. I want to say TDK. I just don't want him to feel pressured. I know we have a podcast. I want him just to feel the love. And you know what? You do your best, baby girl.
I just want him to have a positive cheer squad and a positive supporter base. I need to be quiet during this podcast because Carlton supporters are over there. I just want him to enjoy his football and play and not have people throwing crap at him. Like, I know we joked about it earlier in the year that, you know, people were singing the Tequila theme song as he's standing in the goal square. I want him to have a positive fan base like that. And we are positive, you know, they get songs, they get introduced by Ollie and all of that jazz. I just want him to enjoy football and have fun and enjoy themselves, which is what Saints footy is about, is going out winning, but also having fun and enjoying it at the same time. Like, we don't have 110,000 supporters. We have 60.
Yeah.
And, you know, whilst there be outside media pressure, if he can shut that out, I think as a supporter base, we won't give him the pressure. We just honestly just want to win. So
Yeah.
All right, next question. What numbers are they going to wear? Kat has written down a list of numbers which we have available.
Yes, I've come quite prepared.
Yeah.
So potentially we have number 19 available, potentially. So it's pending. 21, Woody's number. 29, Jimmy. 31, Harry Boyd. 36, which was previously Riley Bonner's. 37, which hasn't been claimed in a hot minute. 39, RIP Ollie Hodden. And 41, RIP Angus McLennan. So I don't necessarily have an answer to what numbers go where. I don't know. Can you imagine if we give TDK 19?
So on that on that podcast on the DDF live streaming, TDK went on a 12 and we're like, no, that's Max King and Nick Rewalt. But then, you know, I kind of also, I don't know, I just want a number so I can paint the back of that TDK doll. 19, that would be, I kind of like the idea. As weird as that
I'm all
sounds.
for it for the chips and gigs.
Zach
Yeah.
Jones deserves number 3.
Yes. Yeah.
Let's get Zach Jones. Let's pop him out of 3. I can see
call.
Flanders going maybe 21. Sauce. Like, you have to give him a top 30 number.
Well, that's exactly what I was going to say. Like, isn't it weird if we're like, welcome Leek Aleer number 41? I don't know. I find it
I
bizarre,
feel there's
but
going to
at the
be,
same time, I'm not really like, I don't know, it doesn't phase me.
I feel there's going to be some changes with numbers.
There would have.
I have this feeling there's going to be a couple of changes. Obviously, my man Hugo has number 1, and whilst J Sauce might be my background, you are not getting number 1 with us, dude. No. It'd be interesting. Very interesting.
Yeah.
I wonder if...
I think...
No, you go.
I think big shakeups tend to happen, like, in terms of, like, numbers and stuff when there are such big inclusions. Like, there's a reason why we're getting talked about so much in the media, because we have been so aggressive. So I think that the jumpers will just be, again, a domino effect, something that kind of has to happen. But it's very rare that, you know, a big shakeup would happen, because, you know, when do you get 4 already well-established players from other clubs, right? It's pretty rare.
I do remember, and I can't remember, pretty sure it was, and I'm going to be really bad because I can't remember his name and I should, 23 for Hawthorn that went to Sydney, Lance. He made the poor player that had 23 for Sydney move and change his number because he wanted 23. So I guess it depends on who it is and the reason why.
Yeah. In saying that, Buddy is like one of the best the league's ever seen. So
exactly
kind of has that merit. Yeah.
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 And I guess this is going to lead into, we've got another question, but what I'm about to say is going to lead us all into, there's madness to what I'm about. I mean, something into the madness. I don't know what the method into this madness. I'm going to say. Jack Steele might leave, so number 9 might be available. Callum Wilkie could go to number 9 and we could have the precious 44 available. Next question. Not really a question, but how does one cope if Jack Steele leaves? Asking for a friend, me. That was D.
I don't have an answer.
Welcome to Jack Steele chat.
I don't have an answer, but I do know that I am mentioning it in the next little bit, which is our thing on Steele. It's a bit like the Rewalt thing where we just had to learn to cope. You know it's coming, regardless if it's this year, next year, or the year after. You know it's coming and it's going to hurt. But he has brought us to where we are now, and we are so lucky because he pulled us through one of the most horrible times that we've had as a club and as a fan base that we've had to endure. And he's been through, what, 4 coaches? So
It is a sticky situation. He brought so much to the club in the last 5 years. When Geary was suffering from injuries, still stood up and took on that captaincy role. He was such a good leader, but in the last 2 years, something's just been off, and everyone's saying he doesn't like it's too hard for him to be the captain and to play. I I just don't see him coming back to what he was. And it just comes down to the point, you have to think of the future. Like, you just have to move on at some point. I don't know. Like, I've come to terms with it. I think there's so much more exciting things in Jack Steele. That's so mean. I'm so sorry. But there's a lot more exciting things happening than keeping Steele around.
what I don't
So-
want, I was going to say, what I don't want is for Steele to feel like Merritt. I don't want a situation like that. And
Well, he's not doing
whilst-
Merritt because Merritt's carrying the entire team.
but see, Steele did carry us for a while there back in the day. So I love him. There will always be a space for that 2021 jumper that I paid for, drunken. It's going to hurt, but yeah, I think we'll go into the next bit on how I feel about it.
Is that it for our question, Soz?
That is it.
Yeah. Okay, so yeah, obviously there has been a lot about our former skip, Steely, in the media. John Ralph called him a little bit slow, not an elite kick, but apparently he's got outstanding leadership qualities, and apparently that's what Essendon is crying out for. So again, if you live under a rock, and if this is the first you're hearing about it, the club called Jack for a follow-up decision about his playing future, and they wanted to discuss his openness to explore other opportunities. He told the club that he wants to stay, but he's prepared to consider opportunities if it's presented to him. So when it was announced that he got stood down from the captaincy, I put it to our Instagram followers, and I have never, ever, ever received so much interaction with our beautiful, amazing followers than I did on this day. And so many mixed, if I sit here and read out every single response that I got, I'll be here for an hour, but just I'll read out a few just so you can all get a snapshot of the mixed messages. RS Killy 23 said best outcome for him in the club. I think it's time we had a more vocal leader. Someone said good. Fried Rice said good. Benny JD said sadness. Amber said overdue, love him, but Membry should have been made captain after Geary. Luke said not a bad thing. He'll see out his contract and eventually retire. Bianca said was coming, but still really sad about it, and I hope he stays on. Don't want to see him get kicked out. Chris Dan, time for somebody else to play into the forward role, play him off half forward, rotating with Max Hall. We've been saying this for a while. Time Spent podcast said sad day, really hope he stays. He's a heart and soul player. G said everybody called for Wilkie to be captain last year. Cal had to be made eventually. GTI said good move, it's time. Isla said, captain, expected opportunities, unexpected and sad. So hope he stays for mentorship. There's so much more. I can go on and on. Catherine, not me, said love him, but he wasn't the same after his collarbone injury. And there are genuinely 40 more that I have. So I'm not going to sit here. So thank you to everyone for sending those in. But I think it just goes to show the mixed messages that we received. Okay. My little soapbox about this, it comes to no surprise that I am a massive Steely fan. My heart shattered when I heard this news, and I know that much like, if you're listening to a St Kilda podcast, I'm probably sure that you can relate to the fact that you put your heart and soul into this club. And I think it probably made me a lot more upset than what it probably should have, to be quite honest. I feel like Steely embodies everything it takes to be a St Kilda supporter, period. He has been through so many ups and downs with this club, and I said it before, but I thought he was worthy of a top 10 in the Trevor Barker as well. I'm a little bit confused as to why we signed McRae in the first place. Ross Lyon has been very open about the fact that McRae and Steele are the same player. Like he says it himself. We've discussed it on the podcast before. I understand that, but doing that to your skip, I think, is quite shit. To then ask him to step down from leadership and to then say to him, if you want midfield minutes, explore elsewhere. I think we've done him so dirty. I reckon we do have like more than adequate backups in terms of leadership, whether that's Wilkie or Sinks, and whether it means we get some of the young boys like Nas, maybe Mateus is a little bit too young for the leadership group, Windy, I don't know, but I'm not saying it's a bad thing to have it refreshed with the direction we're going, but I just can't imagine, like, human to human, imagine having a meeting with your work and being stood down and to say, like, explore other options when you've done nothing but he is one of our most consistent players. There was a time where he was an A grader. Obviously, he's not anymore. It's probably down to like a B grader, B plus. But like, my God, I think I said this on the last podcast we had. The captain doesn't have to be your best player. Like, they don't, and more often than not, they aren't. Darcy Moore is not Collingwood's best player, right? Like, by a hot mile. Yeah, that's my little soapbox. I'm pretty pissed off how the club went about it. I think he deserves a lot more than that and a lot better than that. And I'm really worried he'll become leverage if we can't get a accurate deal for either Aleer or for Ryan. I'm worried he'll become a part of like a trade bait. So that's my take. I would love to see him rotate up forward with Max Hall. Steele has a fantastic boot. I've always trusted him in front of goal, but he's an in and under player. He's not scared to break pats, and he's an absolute tackling machine. He's the best in the league for tackles, and I just think what we've done to him is really unfair. So somebody else can take the floor right now, because I don't know. It's really pissed me off.
I'm going to play devil's advocate.
No, go for it. No, it's a good thing.
So what we missed we haven't spoken about it yet. There was a potential that Wilkie was going to go to the Western Bulldogs. That came up. He must have been upset about the money he was on. So he had interviews with St Kilda, and then it's come out that he's going to be the new captain. So we kind of saw that this Steele situation was brewing as an onflow of the Wilkie situation. Obviously, Wilkie's staying with us, and it kind of seems like he is going to be the captain now. It kind of asks the question, like, do you, Kat, prefer Wilkie or Steele? Like, that's pretty much how it's come down to at this point.
I mean, you can have co-captains. We had that with Gears for a while. I don't see that as a bad thing. Especially where, yes, we've got awesome signs in our youth, but there's a reason for that as well, right? I'm not saying that that's like solely on the shoulders of Steele, but Steele would have to be a big reason why we are a destination club, and a big reason why our youth is developing the way that it is. Obviously, coaches and development and all the strategies and stuff that goes into it, but you're not having those little wins, or big wins, sorry, if you've got a shit captain. So I don't know. I don't know who I'd rather. I don't think I have an answer to that, but if I had it my way, I'd probably say co-captains. I just don't think it's fair, given how consistent he has been, to be told this.
But for years, I've seen Wilkie in the the back square directing the play from his half of the
Yeah.
field. Like, he's always been leading, and I can see why he would want to step up.
Yeah, I get that. Dougal's very much the same. There was there's a reason why he was in the leadership group. But I just my brain keeps on going back to there's a reason why Steele has been the captain for so long as well. Like he's doing something right, and maybe he's not as affirmative. I've seen Wilkie crack the shits. I've seen Doogie crack the shits. Maybe he's not as affirmative as they are. But I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing either. If my colleagues yelled at me, I'd probably cry. No?
Yeah, and I feel like if I got demoted from my job, I would not want to work there anymore.
Exactly. I just feel, yeah. It's a lot.
But I still, yeah. I'm all about Wilkie. I'm ready for a change. Like, that's pretty much where it comes down to. Like, we've seen the same shit for so many years.
I get it. I get that. I do.
You know what? We're just, at this point, we're throwing everything at the wall and see what sticks. So,
Yeah.
I'm just going to support St Kilda, and whatever they do, they do.
Yeah.
Tilly, you have a take? You have a hot take on the Steele?
So I do. Did Steele say that he didn't want to be captain in his exit? He would like to step down as captain in his exit interview, because that is what I thought I read. If so, okay, that's fine. But I'm more interested that as a media, and I hate the media. I'm pissed about the miscommunication over this, because that bit, if he chose to say, I would like to step down from the captaincy effective for 2026, then that should have been told to us. It also should have been in all of the media things. They're just picking and choosing the narrative that they want to run with. I am aware that, you know what, maybe Steele needs to step away from the captaincy, still be part of the leadership group to focus on his football. That is totally fine. If he was also, and correct me if I'm wrong, it might have just been in our group chat about exploring further discussions about his playing future. Was that his playing future because he wasn't going to get midfield minutes, but you can play up forward? If that's the case, then that's also not what was reported. And again, this is the media's buy-in to make us all upset and pissed off about this whole situation. We weren't there for his exit interviews. We weren't there if he chose to say, I would like to step down as captain. We all know that Wilkie met with Luke Beveridge. I'm okay if he said, I will stay if I'm captain. I'm kind of okay with that, because it is, as I said earlier, it's a changing of the guard in absolutely everything. But if he chose to step down as captain, I'm okay with that. But that should have been communicated to us. And this comes back to the point that I made back when I first joined the podcast. If the club makes a decision, don't just put out a statement, put out the correct information. Don't pick and choose the information you want to give us. If he chose to step down, just say, Jack chose to step down as captain because of blah. Fine. We're all okay. Otherwise, we spend hours speculating, getting upset for no reason. It's people will spin whatever they want. I'm shattered, yes. But it is changing of the guard across everything that we're so used to. And you know what? I think I said this in our group chat. You know, at the end of the day, I want to be like everybody else, like Brisbane, like Geelong a few years ago. I want a tattoo with a premiership cup and the stick man that says a year underneath on my leg that I've had since I was 18. I want a cup. I want a premiership. I want a second flag so that Soz, Kat, and I can go down to St Kilda Beach and go, hey, look, we can swim between the flags now. That is what I want. And I know that there's going to be collateral damage along the way.
Yeah.
That's me.
Yeah, that's valid. Yeah. So in the club statement, because you said that, Tilly, I was curious about the actual wording. So in St Kilda's statement, the exact wording was, the club called Jack in today for a follow-up discussion about his playing future and discuss his openness to explore other opportunities. Jack advised the club that he wants to stay but is prepared to consider opportunities if presented to him. And apparently he advised the club of his desire to step down from the captaincy.
And that's what I was saying about the captaincy. I'm annoyed that they want to use him as trade bait, but I understand that he would like to step down. That is fine. That's where Wilkie comes in. I'm okay with that bit. The time has come. That's okay. He wanted to step down. But again, that's the miscommunication, and that's the media spin.
Well, because, everything I read was that he was asked. Or most things that I read was that he was asked. So who knows? But also the club will never release he was asked too, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
I don't know.
So we've been going for a while now. We should probably wrap this up for now. Who Who knows when our next pod will be? Hopefully something crazy doesn't happen like Steele gets traded to West Coast.
Oh.
That would suck. But yeah, thanks everyone for joining us, and thanks for everyone who's watching us. I'm not sure when we're going to release this because I'm going to have to edit it, but thank you everyone for joining us on a special edition of Red, White and Black Chat.
Yes.
There's going to be some
And now-
insight of what's going to be like next season.
And now you know what we actually look like.
Yeah.
If you are joining us for the first time, we do have an Instagram and a TikTok at Red, White and Black Chat. So don't forget to chuck us a follow, chuck us a like, etc., etc. And also keep an eye out for our YouTube videos as well, because we are aiming to go back to videos, fingers and toes crossed, for 2026 as well, hopefully in person. I don't know. We will keep you guys posted, but a few of you have been screaming out for videos, so we apologize for the lack of videos this year. We were still learning how to sound good for a lot of you via tech, and that was hard enough as it is. But as always, thank you for joining us. We love you all, and we will most likely see you all in round 1, 2026.
I hope Ronnie Burns is signed by then.
Opening round, Spuds game, Collingwood at the G. You heard it here first.
And someone's saying it might be on a Friday.
Ooh.
We'll see you all then. Go
Okay.
Saints.
Bye everyone. Bye.
Bye. Go Saints.